Hello. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. No, I'm not doing a sort of pre-record that is deliberate in this video. Since I made the last video, Bruckner, the Spoken Symphony, I've had nobody take up the course, which has actually been a good thing because the course can be sort of broken down, or it can be varied, shall we say, into 3 different courses using 3 different genres of music. One of them, we'll call it the voice, for example, will probably could be done in over 10 slots, as it were, a course of 10. There may be a bit of camera shake. I am actually really shaken. I'll come on to that at the end of the video. Oh dear, so much to say. But let's look at something here to start with. Well, for a start, today is the 20th of February. It's a 4 day, and it's also a hidden 33 day. 4 is definitely a door, but let's look at the Book of Thomas, not the Gospel of Thomas, the other Book of Thomas, and that is Thomas the Tank Engine, a really useful engine. Now the Fat Controller will say, now, Thomas, you have caused confusion and delay. Thomas goes on his own little branch line, and he comes with Annie and Clarabelle. Clarabelle is looking back, Annie is looking forward, is facing forward, Thomas obviously is facing forward, and they have a track that they go on. But the script has actually been flipped, because it is the Fat Controller that is actually causing the confusion and the delay. Thomas is a very useful engine, but the confusion and the delay is, as is associated with the word Thomas, as in the disciple, it contains doubt. That is the confusion. The delay is the fear. But if you follow that story of Thomas, and I believe of James the Red Engine also does this, and probably all of them as well, when they're going uphill, they've got this rhythm of, I think I can, I know I can, I think I can, I know I can. That's a huge clue in what that reveals. I think I can. So it's the imagination. Hello, Demiana. She's decided to come and sit on my lap. Cats know all the warm places. And of course, going back to Thomas, I think I can, I know I can. And of course, you do make it over the hill, but then you don't want to just get carried away with things, shall we say. Because when a train is going downhill, the payload that sits behind that engine, if it's not kept under control, will push Thomas down that hill faster than Thomas is capable of going, and it will end up in a disaster. So it has to be controlled by a driver as well. I thought I'd just throw that in there. There's a saying that was put out that comes from a speech, which is, we don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society. Now, many will have picked up on that one. Many will run with what is said in that at the surface level. But consider what is not being said in that statement. If we don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society, that therefore implies the response is a question of, then what do we have time for? Similarly, there's another, comes from a speech by Donald Trump, who states, "I am not a politician, I am a businessman, I make deals, that is what I do." We could run with that as being true. But from that, surely three questions come. Who are you making deals with? Who will benefit from that deal? And at whose expense will that deal be made? This reality is all about contrasts. So what is said, it's equally important to look at what is not being said. But going back to we don't have time, well, let's just have a look at time. Let's take it at its face value. So if we're looking at a clock face, you have an hour hand. It really is horology. It is a horror as much as anything else, because it's putting a measurement on something that can't really be measured. But everything in its reality is all about by looking at things and making comparisons to be able to say that's good, that's bad, that's hot, that's cold, and so on. Judge ye not lest ye be judged, comes to mind. So the hour hand, you'll see that move over a period of 60 minutes, obviously. You have the minute hand, so if the hour hand is the first hand, then the minute hand must be the second hand. And you'll see that move quicker. And of course, then you have the second hand. No doubt in this present moment, in this reality, there is probably generations who are growing up who can't even look at a clock face and tell at the time because it's been turned into digital. So you're no longer seeing the face. But the second hand, why is it called the second hand when it is the third hand? Because 3 is an odd number, 2 is an even number. So if something is odd and is now being portrayed as something even, it follows a pattern that the evening, which always precedes the morning, was the first day. But there are more hands on that clock. If we were to extend out the circles, the windmills of our mind, Noel Harrison, we could add in a hand for the week. We could add in a hand for the month, for the year, for the decade, for the century, for the millennium, and so on. You would end up with a series of circles within circles. But they're measurements, just in a physical reality. There is something beyond time which is timeless. I invite you to take one of what is now 3 courses. We call it the bridge, the link, or the voice. There's 3 options there. Depends how you want to go with it. It's like me saying, listen to Neville Goddard. You may be put off by all the biblical references. I get that. I could then point you to Alan Watts and say, listen to it that way. Listen to Archaic's channel and hear it that way. There's many ways of hearing things. So the course is actually very fluid. It's more a template, but it is going to help you with things that you, whether you are consciously or unconsciously, they are the things that you are seeking to find. Everybody is looking for solace. Everybody is looking for a return to Eden. What if I was to say to you, there is a way? There is a way to do that and so much more. I have in my possession a book. It is the one book that does come from before the great flood. It is a book of enormous value. It is a magic book. The book does have a spine, it does have a cover, it is spiral bound, and it definitely has a binding to it. The book, it's difficult to even put this into physical terms. It's worth more than its weight in gold. The book is solid gold. What else can I tell you about it? The appendix, the source, it is huge for this book. It can take more than a lifetime to read this book. It is a book that you cannot put a value on. It is a very magical book. If you were to attempt to put it on a bookshelf, at the very least it would cause enormous discomfort. It's not a book to be left on the shelf. Who wants to be left on the shelf? It's a book that certainly extracts of it were taken out of it. It definitely existed in the Great Library of Alexandria, or whatever it is. Probably multiple copies, because there are more copies of this book. This is the paradox. Whilst this book is priceless and could never be auctioned, at the same time it can be sold for definite. But there are more copies of this particular book than there are all the Bibles put together, all the other books put together. The book is timeless. It is a magic book. It, like I say, it can cause discomfort. It can cause, I kid you not, it can cause a huge destruction. The book is solid gold. It contains uranium. It does have explosive results. What is that book? I have it in my possession. Through the courses, I can help you find it, because that book, over time, the thing we call history, has been repeatedly destroyed. It has definitely been burnt. It has been hidden. It has been hidden away. And you'd be very surprised how easy it is to miss, and yet how easy it potentially can be to find. Now, the copy I have, I had to go into the abyss, because it is abysmal to read any part of that book is terrifying. Just thinking about this book fills my eyes with tears. It is the most powerful book you'll ever read. If, like I say, if you were to even attempt to put it on a bookshelf, it would most certainly destroy the bookshelf. It could potentially pull down the entire wall that bookshelf is actually attached to. That's just a hint of how powerful this book really is. It is a magic book that is timeless. It is priceless beyond imagination, and yet there are many, many copies of it. There have been many attempts to destroy the book. There have been numerous attempts to try and find the book. All those expeditions by the Third Reich into Tibet and various other places, to New Swabialand and such like, were to find the book. The story is very much like that TV series, The Mystery of Oak Island. The more you dig, the more difficult it becomes to find, and yet it is there to be found, and it is true gold, and it is worth more than its weight in gold. Probably sounds like a riddle, but car going by and the cats are on the hunt, as it were. Now got Junius down here. So through any of these 3 courses, it will help you find that book. It is a book of enormous power, of enormous potential. It can be very destructive, yes. It can be very creative. It can also give you a return to Eden. It contains a Genesis. It definitely contains an Exodus. It definitely contains Revelations and so much more. It definitely tells the story of the Christ being as well. So I'm not going to put out a challenge as such, but I am going to put out a challenge for you to challenge me. I could make some very bold claims here and they would sound very egoic, so I'm not going to do that. But this is the book that you really do seek, whether you know it or not. I can help you find that. Now, I'm not going to give you the book that is in my possession. It's taken a very long time to find. It has an enormous weight to it. It's not transportable. But like I say, it's a magic book, and there are multiple copies of this book. And I doubt very much that you could even read it in one lifetime. But I can certainly make extracted parts of it, and I can put it into smaller books. So it's a book that contains many books. So what you could say is what you know as the Bible is part of that book. It has not suffered the rewritings and redactions of the Bible. But even in the Bible, it's a story of 2. Now this book that I have in my possession, the writer definitely is anonymous. The title of the book, potentially it has so many names. I wouldn't even want to, I suppose it's the book of source, it's the book of everything. I don't know. In that book It will also, the extracts I can get out of it for a start, will actually uncover, and I'll be able to show you some very famous errants throughout history that have not been seen as errants before, but the book reveals that as well. I'm struggling to even find words to describe this book. Have a ponder about this book. You'd be surprised how easy it can be to find, how little effort it actually takes to find this book. It has been hidden away for a very good reason. Because it is so powerful, it is potentially very destructive. It contains all the stories. Let's talk about, say, 20 to 9. That is a metaphor, 20 to 9. You might want to put that into a 24-hour clock and then substitute the hour and minutes for year. But what's already happening, what's already unfolding goes, well, it's playing out 20 to 9 already. Stars are falling. The sun is darkening. The moon is turning blood red. It's already started. But this book will also answer another concern that I know a lot of you have about 20 to 9. Where do you go? How do you not be affected, not be harmed by this phoenix rising? There is a way, and that book reveals it. So I really do hope that this has whet your appetites, because I'm looking for those of you that are thirsty. Not intoxicated, but I'm looking for those of you that are thirsty. You may want to ponder what I'm actually saying here. Oh, let's go back to the we don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society. If you have gone with the first superficial level to that, you will be confined to barracks. But if you can penetrate the deeper levels of what that means, you will actually probably go, oh, bummer. Because you have been spending time, basically your light has been escaping. It's something else I've asked before. How do you nullify or neutralize a light, say like a candle flame as an example, without destroying it? There is a way, and that is the way. Not from destruction, but by transmuting it. Just running through in the mind, is there any more I wish to say? Yes, there is. This these series of courses that I'm offering, I mean, if you felt so inclined, you could do all three. But any one of the three courses would be sufficient. But I've reached that crunch point. One of those half chocolate digestive biscuits, for example, the value of that goes up enormously when you have one packet of biscuits and you've opened that packet. Of course, it's solid, it's physical, it's finite. There is going to come to a point where you only have one biscuit left. That now becomes hugely valuable. when you don't have funds to buy any more. But it isn't just biscuits. Like I said, I have to go through this experience. I have to put myself through the experience. I take full responsibility for this. But I am required in this physical reality to make a living, and the whole theme is all about living. So I am very much no man is an island. I very much need to interact with a lot of you. Not too many at a time, because I'd rather concentrate on maybe two or three people at most per week, or per the duration of the course, because it will require a lot from you, but it is going to help you find all the answers that you are looking for, and even the answers you don't even realize that you're looking for. It will help you find that book that will give you the empowerment that will be the greatest assets you could ever have. That's a bold claim, yes. So I invite you to test that. There, I suppose, is the challenge. I invite you, I challenge you to challenge me, that I can help you find that book and help you find that empowerment. There probably is more that's not readily coming to the forefront. We'll see the number 4 again. 4 definitely is a door. I'm sort of now lost for words, as it were. This could go on for quite some time. I'm feeling the aftershocks of this book. I am not exaggerating when I say it is so powerful. It is a book that really does need handling with care. It is a timeless book that is beyond measure. It is, you could say, it's the original book of which all other books come from. And I do have it in my possession, at least one copy of it. But this is the paradox. It's the most valuable book, and yet it is the most numerous book, but it is the most hidden book. And there have been lots that have tried to find it. It does follow that story of the Curse of Oak Island, or whatever it is, on that TV series. It's quite a good analogy, and it doesn't matter what you look at. There is something to be found in anything. So with these courses, I can only give you a perspective. I'm coming from the perspective primarily of art, because, and of course, just like art, it is subjective, so it may not suit you all. This is why, in the refinement stages, this course is now available in 3 options. So the links are in the description. I hope that has whet your appetite, piques your curiosity. Because cast your mind back, if you can. There's this beautiful game, generally between the age of 1, 2 and 3 years old, depending how quick you learn to speak. Generally, it's called the terrible twos, when you ask repeatedly why to everything that is said to you. It's a beautiful game, because in that game, what you get your first taste of is something called egoic defense, because there will come a point when you keep asking why, that the response will be, because I have told you. That is why, which obviously is not an answer. And of course, that why is exactly the same shape that the human body would make if it is nailed to a cross. It's the last thing that this Jesus character in that story says. Why, O Father, why hast thou forsaken me? He's right to the very end, asking why. But do you know why? That's the thing. And it is like being on that crucifix to keep asking why. Because you can be punished for it. You can have a gagging order placed on you. You can be told to shut up. You can be told to go and see the headmaster. You can be accused of being disruptive. But if you don't ask why, how are you going to know? It's a very important question, and it is one that can be answered. Right, I think that's long enough for this video. But all this I will go much deeper into in the courses. The abyss can seem abysmal, and that is the mall. Look at the word abysmal, it's got a mall on it. Never mind going to the shopping mall. This is the mall that you really want to go to. I can take you there, and I ain't going to leave you stuck there. You may not have to go quite that deep. You may not have to go right in the deepest, darkest depths of the abyss. Well, you will. The book will help you navigate your way through that. The courses will help you navigate your way through that so you don't get stuck in the abyss. It'll empower you to be able to pull yourself out. Because if you dig a hole, or if you fall down a well, if somebody's at the top and they're reaching their arm down, then obviously their arm will only go so far. You're going to have to do a hell of a lot of work to extricate yourself out, but there will be a hand there to help you. It's no different from the hands on the clock face. There are more than 3 hands. There are definitely 2 hands that are hidden. One is a hidden hand that is self-serving. The other one, we could call it the hand of God. You'll see this reflected as a big clue every time 2 world leaders get together, and they always do that handshake. It always featured. So you get these world summits and things, these glorified get-togethers, which could actually be done with a Zoom call with today's technology, instead of having all this security and everybody else having to pay for a select few to have a get-together and an afternoon tea, shall we say, and some probably, no doubt, some very expensive champagne, some brand new red carpet rolled out. Well, there's a red rain for a start. See, it's already starting to happen. The question is, when are you going to see it? Are you going to see it at 20 to 9? Because a lot are going to see it way before that, and that ain't going to be pleasant. It will be very destructive. But we won't focus on the doom and gloom, but of course, you see one side, you will automatically see the other side as well. That's what this book reveals. So, yeah, I've talked long enough now. This has gone on quite a way, but this had to be done now. This had to be done today because of the numerology, as much as anything else. So all these, there's often talked about secret societies and having secret knowledge and things. Where do you think all that knowledge came from? It came from this same book. They've only got extracts of it. They haven't got it all either. They might think they have, but there are reasons for that, because the story in Genesis, that itself is a feedback loop of something that happened before the Adam and Eve reset. It is just following the same pattern. Like everything else, it repeats over and over again. Right, that really is it now. I'm going to say, as always, unconditional love to you all, and I really do look forward to seeing or hearing from you, as much for my future's sake in this material realm as for your future's sake as well. I don't think I can put it any stronger than I have already, but now the rest is up to you. Are you up for the challenge? Because there will be a lot of discomfort. It will be going like through a swamp. It will be draining the swamp. But what comes out of it, it's like you will find, it's like climbing a sheer face of a mountain, but now it's like that and you're on the outside of it, so you're actually leaning back. It can seem quite terrifying. It can seem almost impossible, but it comes back to that Thomas, I think I can, I know I can. It's the first two steps on a path. It is being open to the idea, I think I can. I know I can. That's in the feeling. Then of course, you are able to. You can and able. You can and you are able. So I suppose rather than a Bible, you could say that this book is an able. We'll leave that there. As always, unconditional love to you all. Now the video.